The storm outside roared like a wounded beast, but inside the marble hallways of the Whitmore mansion, a different kind of chaos reigned. Two little girls, identical in face, opposite in temper, screamed, threw toys, and chased away another nanny with tears in her eyes. For the 5th time that month, the billionaire single father, Ethan Whitmore, watched yet another caretaker quit before sunset. The twins, Ava and Ella, had become infamous. No one could handle them. No one could reach them. And no one understood why they behaved the way they did. Ethan, once a man of charm and control, now lived surrounded by silence and the faint echoes of a broken home. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that prove love can heal even the most wounded hearts, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories that touch souls. The next morning, the mansion received a new janitor. Her name was Clara Dawson, a woman in her early 30s with gentle eyes that carried both pain and warmth. She had recently moved to the city with her 7-year-old son, Leo, after losing her husband to a tragic accident. Life had not been kind to Clara. She worked 2 jobs, slept barely 4 hours a night, and still managed to tuck her son in with a smile. The Whitmore mansion job was supposed to be temporary. Just a paycheck to help her pay the rent and keep food on the table. She didn't plan to stay long. She didn't plan to get involved. But fate had other ideas. From the moment Clara walked into the grand hall, she felt the tension in the air, like something fragile had been broken and never mended. The staff walked on eggshells, whispering about the twins who drove everyone away. But when Clara saw the girls for the first time, 2 small figures sitting silently by the stairs, their eyes distant and sad, she didn't see trouble. She saw loneliness. She saw fear. She saw children who had lost more than they could express. Ava and Ella were only 8, yet they had already learned how to push people away before they could be left behind. Their mother had passed away when they were 5, a soft, artistic woman who used to sing them lullabies in the garden. After she died, the laughter vanished from their world. Ethan buried himself in work, unable to face the ghosts of memories that lingered in every corner of his home. The twins, left in the care of strangers, grew wild, angry, and heartbroken. They wanted their mother, not another nanny who would leave as soon as things got hard. Clara discovered their hiding place one afternoon while mopping the corridor near the library. She heard faint sobs and followed the sound to a small closet under the stairs. Inside, the twins were huddled together, clutching a torn photo of their mother. For a moment, Clara froze, not wanting to intrude, but when Ava looked up, eyes red and wet, Clara did something no one else had done. She didn't scold them. She didn't pity them. She knelt on the floor beside them and softly said, "I miss someone too." That single line broke through a wall that no one else could cross. Over the next few days, the twins began watching Clara quietly as she worked. They followed her down hallways, peeked from behind doors, and asked her small, cautious questions. "Do you have kids? Why do you clean floors? Do you get tired?" Clara answered each one with patience and honesty, and slowly, something started to shift. They began helping her, holding the dustpan, wiping a window, or handing her towels. The mansion, once echoing with tantrums and cries, began to hum with the quiet rhythm of healing. Ethan noticed the change. For the first time in months, the girls were smiling. Really smiling. He watched from a distance, unable to understand how a janitor had done what highly paid professionals couldn't. He found himself curious about Clara, about her calm strength and quiet grace. She never seemed intimidated by his status or the size of his home. She worked with dignity, spoke with warmth, and carried an invisible strength that came from surviving storms no one else could see. One evening, Ethan returned home early and found Clara and the twins baking cookies in the kitchen. The girls were laughing, covered in flour, and Clara's face lit up like the sun as she handed them spoons to stir the dough. It was a sight Ethan hadn't seen since his wife's death, his daughters genuinely happy. For a moment, he just stood there, overwhelmed by gratitude and something deeper, something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. As days turned into weeks, Clara became more than a janitor. She became a friend, a comfort, and a mother figure the twins desperately needed. She helped them talk about their mother without breaking down, encouraged them to draw pictures of her, and showed them that love doesn't disappear, it simply changes form. Under Clara's care, the mansion began to feel alive again. Flowers returned to the garden. Laughter echoed in the halls. And Ethan began to find reasons to come home early. But not everyone approved. The head housekeeper, jealous and bitter, whispered to Ethan's business partners that he was becoming too attached to a janitor. Rumors spread quickly, that Clara was manipulating him, that she had an agenda. Ethan tried to ignore them, but the pressure grew. One night, after an important dinner with investors, one of them made a cruel joke about the millionaire and his maid. Ethan saw Clara's hurt eyes and realized how unfair the world could be to people like her. The next morning, Clara handed in her resignation. She said the twins were doing better and it was time for her to move on. Ethan wanted to stop her, but he didn't know how to ask her to stay without revealing how much he had come to care. The twins cried, begged her not to leave, but Clara knew that sometimes love means letting go, even when it hurts. For days after she left, the mansion returned to silence. The twins refused to eat or smile. Ethan sat alone in his study, staring at the resignation letter. He finally understood what his daughters had lost, not just another caretaker, but a piece of the light that had brought them back to life. And he realized he was losing her too, the woman who had unknowingly mended his broken family. A week later, on a rainy evening, Ethan drove across the city and found himself standing outside Clara's small apartment. Through the window, he saw her and Leo sitting at the table, sharing a simple meal, laughing softly. She didn't have wealth or luxury, but there was warmth in that little home that his mansion had never known. He knocked on the door, unsure of what to say, and when she opened it, words failed him. All he could manage was, "They miss you. I miss you." Clara's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to resist, to remind herself that she was just a janitor, that their worlds were too different, but the truth was, she missed them too. And when Leo tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "Mom, can we go see Ava and Ella again?" She knew her answer. From that day on, Clara didn't just work at the mansion. She became part of it. She continued cleaning, but she also read bedtime stories, planted flowers with the girls, and shared laughter at the breakfast table. Ethan, once a distant father, began joining them. Slowly, the cracks in their hearts started to heal. It wasn't about money or titles anymore, it was about love, kindness, and the courage to open up again. Months later, on Christmas morning, the twins ran to Clara with a small box tied with red ribbon. Inside was a silver bracelet engraved with the words, "You made us smile again." Clara couldn't hold back her tears. For her, that was the greatest gift she could ever receive, proof that love had found its way back into their lives. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps spread stories that remind us love and compassion can change even the hardest lives. Speech balloon special request. Tell us in the comments, what was your favorite moment in Clara's journey? Your words mean the world to us and help us keep sharing kindness one story at a time.